Good evening and welcome to the May 5th, 2025 meeting of the Ann Arbor City Council. If you are able, please rise and join us for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the clerk please call the roll of council?
Councilmember Dish?
Here.
Councilmember Harrison? Absent. Councilmember Watson?
Here.
Councilmember Malik?
Here.
Councilmember Radina?
Here.
Councilmember Ghazi Edwin? Absent. Mayor Taylor? Absent. Councilmember Iyer?
Here.
Councilmember Ackman? Absent. Councilmember Briggs?
Here.
Councilmember Cornell?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Can I please get a motion to approve the agenda? Moved by Councilmember Cornell, seconded by Councilmember Iyer. Any discussion of the agenda? All in favor? Any opposed? The agenda is approved. Communications from our city administrator. Do we have anything this evening?
None tonight, Mayor.
Thank you. We have two introductions this evening. The first introduction is the monthly update from the chair of our Independent Community Police Oversight Commission, Chair Carter. You have the floor.
Chair Carter will be joining us over Zoom.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
We can.
Oh, good, thank you. Good evening. It is good to be with you this evening, even remotely. I want to first announce that ICPOC has had its second transparency meeting that the Ann Arbor Police Department has set up. We had some issues, you may remember, about complete transparency between the Oversight Commission and materials that we had to review when we are responding to complaints. And so I think those issues have been resolved, and we very much thank Chief Anderson for that. Mainly this evening, what I would like to do is invite all of you, members of council, members of the public, to what will be the initial first annual Jude Walton Social Justice Symposium. Now, this is a collaboration between ICPOC and the Ann Arbor Police Department. It is going to be held on May 31st. We'll be out at Washtenaw Community College. We are just very happy to say that we have secured as our keynote speaker Dr. Cedric Alexander. Dr. Alexander is the Minneapolis Commissioner of Community Safety. He is a nationally recognized expert on law enforcement, mental health, and community safety. He has served as an expert in national media such as CNN and MSNBC, and we are just very pleased that he has agreed to be our keynote speaker at the symposium. It was named for Jude Walton. Some of you may remember that she was one of the first commissioners on the Independent Oversight Commission, and she was not born here. She was actually born in England and came here, became a great part of our community, and was very dedicated to social justice. And so we have decided to name this symposium for her. So again, we would like to invite everyone out. There is a registration. If the flyers are available, you can contact the ICPOC office. We've sent flyers out to everyone that we have an email address for. and that's May 21st at Washtenaw Community College. So if there are no questions, that is my report for this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair Carter. Next, you may recall that Mayor Taylor dedicated our moment of silence at our last meeting to Shirley Beckley upon the occasion of her passing. While I did not have the privilege to get to know Miss Beckley personally, she was a pillar of our community and a lifelong activist. Many of you may recognize her from a recent showing of A Letter to the West Side, where her wisdom and sharp sense of humor were on display. Joining us tonight to honor her memory are the Executive Director of the Ann Arbor Housing Commission, Jennifer Hall, and members of the Community Leadership Council.
I would like to introduce Curtis Davis. He will be speaking for the group. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, guys. We're here today to commemorate the life of Shirley Beckley, who passed away unexpectedly on April 15th at the age of 82. Shirley was the heart and soul of our Community Leadership Council, who are here today to honor Shirley's life and impact on our community. The CLC is an advisory board to the city and the Ann Arbor Housing Commission dedicated to celebrating the contributions of Black residents and remembering our history, and creating a community space at the Dunbar Tower for all residents, which is an affordable housing development under the construction at the corner of 4th and Catherine. Shirley Beckley was a true warrior. She was a brave, intelligent, and a moral compass that compelled her to have a positive impact on the community. Shirley was a mentor for countless people and a tireless advocate for the Black community and anyone whose rights were trampled on. Shirley had a long career in affordable housing, starting with the Ann Arbor Housing Commission, then Okemos and the Muskegon Housing Commission. Shirley participated on many public boards and commissions, and most recently ICPOC and the city's Bicentennial Commission. She was instrumental in creating a Jones School historical marker at Community High School, which will be officially dedicated on May 15th at 1:30 p.m. Shirley was an artist, a musician, and a storyteller, and we are so fortunate to record Shirley's memorable interviews in the documentary A Letter to the West Side. And if you haven't seen it, I suggest you do. Shirley's father's family moved to Ann Arbor during the Great Migration from the South, and her mother's family moved from Canada here. And they owned a home on the city's west side on Ashley and West Kingsley, excuse me. She was one of several Black kids who had to move to a new school as part of the school desegregation movement of the 1950s. The work we are doing on the CLC was extremely important to Shirley, and we want to thank the city for supporting our work, and we want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to honor Shirley Beckley. Thank you.
Thank you. And as has been mentioned, for those who would like to learn about Ms. Beckley, more about Ms. Beckley's life, you can also check out the Ann Arbor District Library's archives. I know that they have a number of interviews and features from her work and activism in our community over the years. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We now come to public comment. Public comment is an opportunity for members of the public to speak to council and the community about matters of municipal interest. To speak at public comment, one must have signed up in advance by contacting our city clerk. Speakers have 3 minutes to speak, and we can only have one person speaking at a time. For those joining us remotely, the city clerk will notify you when you have 30 seconds remaining and when your time has expired. Speakers are not authorized to delegate their time to an alternate speaker. Council rules allow for 45 minutes of public comment reserve time at the beginning of the meeting. We will allow for at least 15 speakers in the initial 45-minute time period. If at the conclusion of 45 minutes, speakers remain on the public comment list, we will reopen public comment for those speakers at the end of the meeting. Our first speaker this evening is Amy Connley.
Did you, the letters?
You can give this to the clerk, yes.
Hello, my name is Amy Connley. I've worked with Reinhardt and Ann Arbor for the past 14 years, specializing in rental property management. I am here today because the proposed ordinance as written is significantly out of touch with the realities of Ann Arbor's rental market. According to the frequently asked questions section of the proposal, we expect that many rental units will be able to achieve the requirements set forth in the proposed program with little to no cost or effort. This statement clearly indicates a lack of experience or understanding of how the rental market operates, what it takes to maintain rental properties, and what tenants actually value in a rental home. Frankly, this makes me question the true intent of the proposal. The scoring system heavily favors electrification, which appears to be a workaround after the city's failed attempt to ban gas appliances. The proposal suggests that a shift to green energy will lower tenants' costs, yet offers no meaningful data to support that claim. To illustrate, I manage two similar properties, condominiums of comparable size, located within 1 mile of each other, built within 5 years of each other, and in mixed-use buildings. According to DTE's budget plan, the unit with gas and electric appliances costs tenants approximately $100 a month. The unit with all electrical systems costs about $130 a month. That's a $30 a month increase, or $360 more annually, for the tenant using electricity alone. That is not theoretical, it's real-world data from the real tenants in Ann Arbor. Additionally, comparing the ordinance to Boulder's Smart Regs program is misleading. Boulder enjoys over 300 days of sun per year, making solar energy far more viable. Boulder generates over 3 times the solar power Ann Arbor does. Comparing our two climates is not apples to apples, it's apples to watermelons. Boulder's program also has unintended consequences. Many property owners sold their homes rather than shoulder compliance costs. This led to a reduction in rental inventory, which in turn increased rents. If this ordinance passes, we may see the same trend here: landlords selling, single-family homes replaced with large multi-unit buildings, and the unique character of Ann Arbor slowly erased under the guise of environmentalism. We are at an economically precarious time, with concerns of a looming recession. Burdening landlords now would only reduce the rental supply, raise rents, and harm the very people this ordinance claims to help, tenants. Ann Arbor has an affordable housing crisis. Shouldn't our focus be on increasing accessibility and housing stock, not pushing owners out of the market? Many of my property owners have reached out to me through calls, emails, and letters. Their responses have been overwhelmingly negative. They describe the city as out of touch, question the intent behind the proposal, and express disbelief, frustration, and contempt. Environmental stewardship.
Thank you. Next up is Morgan Debbe.
Good evening. My name is Morgan Debbe, and I'm the director for a property management company that works closely with rental property owners across Ann Arbor. I want to start by saying that I understand and respect the city's intent behind the green rental housing ordinance. I think everybody wants safer, healthier, and more energy-efficient housing, but I feel it's important to voice the unintended consequences that this ordinance will create for landlords, and ultimately the availability of rental housing in our city. Rental providers are already operating with very small margins, if any. Many are actually operating at a loss due to the rising cost of property taxes, insurance, building materials, which increases the cost of preventative and required maintenance on rental homes. They're required to go through a detailed and demanding city inspection process. That alone takes coordination, financial investment, and constant attention to staying compliant. What this new ordinance does is layer on another full compliance system, either through a certified energy audit or by navigating a 300-point checklist. And while that might sound manageable on paper, in practice, it's incredibly complex and costly, especially for owners of older housing stock or for small landlords managing a few units. The risk is not just about the cost, but about the viability. Many landlords are now weighing whether to sell instead of taking on another regulatory hurdle. When that happens, we lose rental housing. Units are pulled from the market, sold to owner occupants, and converted to uses that no longer serve renters. That shrinks our inventory, drives up rents, and puts even more pressure on the residents needing housing that we're all supposedly trying to support. My ask is not to necessarily eliminate the ordinance, because I know the probability of that is probably low, but to improve it, instead giving landlords more tools to comply, like access to incentives versus threatening them with fines, longer timelines to get the homes to meet the requirements, and more accessible waiver options. We have to prioritize collaboration, because right now the message that many landlords are hearing isn't let's make our rentals greener, it's maybe it's time to sell our properties. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next up is Judy McDonald.
Hi, my name is Judy McDonald. I'm a property manager from the Charles Reinhardt Company. As a property manager for 32 years, I've managed many off-campus housing units, large apartment complexes, and single-family homes and condos located within the city of Ann Arbor. I'm here tonight to just share some actual comments, feedback from some of our owners, as well as highlight some additional key points. First, I'm going to read an actual letter from one of the owners. She says, "Just read all 15 pages of the green rules. The requests are truly extraordinary and impossible. The owners have full responsibility for everything, and the tenants have no responsibility for anything. I'm surprised they even have to pay rent. Just add to the green rules required provisions for hand feeding of organic food and providing organic cotton clothing to the tenant, and we have just given away our homes to a helpless child that cannot be evicted. This is scary. I'm sure no one on the housing board lives in a house as perfect as the one described in the green rules. Why are they imposing on others what they will not impose on themselves and all the homeowners of Ann Arbor? Where are my protections from renters that don't take care of the new appliances, flooring, freshly painted walls, furnaces and plumbing systems that are in place? I have yet to have a tenant that will even take responsibility to slide in a new furnace filter, even though it is stated they're supposed to do so in their contract. The highest Energy Star appliances are out of budget range for a property owner, as are induction cooktops, smart home devices. Plus, once smart devices and Wi-Fi are installed, it becomes the owner's responsibility to repair and replace these items that are not reliable or long-lasting. What owner or manager has time to call our service provider every time the Wi-Fi is down? Can a tenant refuse to pay rent if the Wi-Fi doesn't work? And then just some other key points that are sort of summarized from various owners. Is this being applied only to rental units? Is there a distinction between single-family homes and multiple-unit complexes? Does the council think that most renters are students and the costs are immaterial to students? These requirements are not practical for a single-family home and will result in significant increases in rental fees to tenants. Retired owners who rely on their income from their properties feel the ordinance would create a huge financial burden, and they will consider selling. We did receive quite a bit of feedback on that. Cost of living has to be paramount to our thinking. Certainly, there are other areas where the city can train its sights on that will have less economic impact than a measure such as this green ordinance. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have Lisa Spitz.
Hi, I'm Melissa Spitz. I'm a Ward 1 resident and a program manager for the Washtenaw Ann Arbor 2030 District. I'm here to express my personal support and also the support of the 2030 District for the Green Rental Housing Ordinance. I'm incredibly fortunate and grateful to live in Ann Arbor because the city is doing so much that I support 100%. With so much going wrong in the world, I try to stay focused on solutions to the climate crisis. All the solutions as fast as we can. It drives me crazy that well-meaning people think it's worth arguing about how to do this perfectly. We don't have time for that. I believe we need to take every step, scale up every effort. This is one reason I think that the ordinance is great, because it will have a big impact in the city. With rentals making up 55% of Ann Arbor housing stock, this is a tremendous opportunity for improvement. The ordinance is designed to make compliance easy. It allows landlords flexibility in their approach. Rental units in good condition with very basic energy savings measures like insulation are likely to meet the requirements of the ordinance already, only needing a home energy rating system assessment to confirm compliance. There are many resources available to landlords who do need to upgrade their units, and the 2030 district is here to help as well. We have free training for maintenance staff to make low-cost improvements when the apartments turn over, like weatherization and replacing inefficient fixtures. The ordinance is holistic. In addition to the energy-saving and electrification actions listed on the checklist, many of which qualify as no-brainers, I was thrilled to see 51 actions in the sustainability, health, and education category. Things near and dear to my heart like tool libraries, pollinator-aware yard care, bike parking, local food, permeable paving, community gardens, and bus passes. For the rental units that are not in good shape, the ordinance will require that they be made healthier and more comfortable with more affordable utility bills and lower greenhouse gas emissions. Landlords need incentives to improve their buildings, especially when renters pay their utility bills directly. This ordinance provides the incentive and is a critical step towards meeting our 8 to 0 plan goals. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Angela Rasmussen. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Angie Rasmanson. I'm a lifelong Ann Arbor resident, and I have worked as a residential property manager for Charles Reinhardt for over 15 years. I currently manage 75 properties throughout the county, 43 of which are located within the city limits of Ann Arbor. Most of those are consisting of single-family homes and condos, and they're owned by individual taxpayers. And I'm here on the landlord's behalf that I represent. I fully support environmental issues. I believe in climate change, recycling, and building a greener community, but I also believe policies must be balanced and realistic. It is clear that the administration wants to grow the city. The approval of over 15 large multi-unit buildings proves that, but while supporting large developers, these ordinances, both passed and proposed, ignore the backbone of Ann Arbor rental market, individually owned homes and condos. Here's something not everybody knows. Rental property owners pay 30% higher taxes than owner-occupiers. These individuals already contributing more, yet face increasing regulation. Many have rented to families and students for decades. Now they are forced to raise rents or sell, and that hurts tenants too. Less inventory means higher rents for everyone. As for affordability, most of our property owners I work with raise the rent very little, modestly at 2 or 3% at max, which is way below the national average, to keep these properties accessible to the tenants that they have. But the additional cost burden from this ordinance will also absolutely have to be passed on to the tenants, as many of our owners do not make a profit or very little. We've spoken to local licensed contractors locally about the electricity conversion that will be needed if you switch from a gas to an electric appliance. It would be a minimum cost of $100 extra per appliance to do that when you switch from a gas to an electric appliance. And more significantly, when you switch a furnace or a hot water heater conversion, you have to update the electrical panels as well, which can be upwards from $1,000 to $4,000 cost per larger appliance. These costs aren't just line items, they're financial burdens that many small-scale landlords simply cannot absorb. In reality, they function like a tariff on property owners. The city rental policies have become increasingly one-sided. The tenant's handbook reads more like tenants' rights and landlord duties. It is often offers few tools to landlords trying to maintain quality housing under growing costs and constraints. Yes, there are a few bad landlords that exist, but the vast majority, including those I work with, maintain their properties well, respect their tenants, and care about this community, even if they don't live here. Thank you.
Jordan Else.
Hi, City Council. You've heard from me before. I'm generally not somebody who comes here and says, "But the landlord," but I'm going to throw that at you tonight, so I hope you can hear me. I support the intentions behind the Green Rental Housing Ordinance. All of our renters deserve cleaner, safer, and more energy-efficient housing. I'm not here to admonish you, to talk poorly about tenants that I'm lucky to have, or to tell you that landlords don't make money. That would be crap. I'm here to ask you to postpone the vote and to adopt a more collaborative, informed approach. I think we can do better. We should delay this decision until we receive the HERS scores from the 4 pilot properties and better evaluate other properties using the checklist. This information is essential to understanding what compliance will actually require, especially for older housing. This makes up most of our rental stock. Even after meeting with OSI and rental housing, I'm not confident that we can achieve the high scores needed for older properties without significant financial investment. I'm trying. I truly am. As written, the ordinance places an undue burden on smaller landlords while favoring the broader capitalist housing system, one in which large corporations already own newer and more efficient units and have the resources and space to comply more easily. It introduces complex record-keeping, educational requirements that will demand significant time from us as smaller landlords who are managing older homes. Many of us share your desire to reach the goals of A20, but to succeed, we need a more practical implementation plan. If compliance isn't feasible for many properties, we're going to risk losing some of those affordable units. And that's just the facts of the money that is involved here. So we're in the midst of a housing crisis. You and I both know that. Preserving these affordable rentals is essential. And I think this also speaks to our stated goals of racial equity, right? We say that we want to be a diverse community that is inclusive. A lot of us landlords who have smaller properties that are cheaper are the ones who house those folks. And this is a direct affront toward that. I really appreciate the Renters Commission's recommendation to focus on the lower rent properties. I think that this is crucial and we should go further. We should use these millage funds to support where tenants pay utilities. We should support green rental housing inspectors to help landlords understand where they stand and what upgrades will be feasible. This will also help us as a city to see what the actual costs are before passing this legislation. OSI and the city should create transparent tools so that landlords can plan updates wisely. I'll just share a story. We looked into replacing a water heater recently with an electronic option. I spent the whole day trying to figure out what the cost would be. It was 3 times as much. We literally just couldn't do it. And so I think that when we're thinking about these houses, we're not also including some of the bigger, more unique, older style houses that just can't easily be retrofitted. And so we need to do more looking at those. I know we're scheduled for a HERS assessment or will be soon, but I think that we need to look at a bit more of a sample size. It doesn't feel like to me that you guys have a clear financial picture of what compliance will cost across the different types of units or what supports will be available. I just keep hearing that rebates are available, but that hasn't really been defined for any of us, and I haven't seen a clear picture of here's your house. This is going to cost you $3,000 to get into compliance, and there will be $2,000 available from the city. We just don't have that picture. So if you want to pull us in and get our full support, we're happy to do that. Provide a little bit more information, pause, review the HERS data, complete the checklist on several other older multifamily homes, particularly in lower rent areas of town. Build a clear, data-informed picture of the real cost to landlords and develop a plan that balances climate action with responsible housing. Thank you.
Next up is Nancy Bowerbank.
Hello, good evening. My name is Nancy Bowerbank, not back, but that's okay. I'm back. No, I'm here for the first time. Good evening. I'm a proud resident of the city of Ann Arbor and currently the general manager of Reinhardt Realtors. I am not in favor of the current green rental ordinance as written. In my opinion, this ordinance is complicated as well as lengthy. It also does not seem to make sense for individual property owners who rent just a single-family property. I am all in favor of trying to recycle and reduce our energy usage, but feel as if the baby is being thrown out with the bathwater. I feel as if not all stakeholders have had a chance to weigh in and assist in the ordinance formation, and think this ordinance deserves that chance. Please do not vote in favor of this ordinance in its current form. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next up is Alex Lowe.
Alex Lowe will be joining us on Zoom. Alex Lowe, press *6 to unmute yourself. Go ahead.
Good evening. This is Alex Lowe calling in from Ward 3. I was recently congratulated for over 70 public comments at city meetings, and I'd just like to thank the person who did that count for all the encouragement. First, I'd like to talk about C4 and its rezoning of this public land to the D1 district. I do not believe D1 is an appropriate fit for the character of this location. It is not, however, an issue to do with this particular rezoning, but rather an indictment of the overlay zoning district that would limit construction in that area to under 55 meters. I hope we can resolve this by fixing our zoning code. More urgent, though, is discussion of the city administrator's return to office mandate. As someone working for a company that has been fully remote for over 20 years, the reasoning behind this change rings very hollow. Yes, there are some jobs that cannot feasibly be done with remote work, but likewise, there are jobs where forcing someone into an office is harmful, not helpful to productivity. The city also has jobs where it's entirely reasonable to require that someone physically be somewhere for a portion of their time, but that somewhere is never an office. Employees who work primarily in the field can be at least as effective from a home office during their administration time as they can from City Hall. The city administrator's request is also in direct conflict with the City Council's A20 plan. The administrator has worked to accommodate employees who drive with subsidies for parking their cars, but has provided absolutely no consideration for employees who intend to reach the office in less carbon-intensive ways. If Council and the administrator insist on continuing this policy that peer-reviewed studies out of Harvard, Stanford, and the University of Chicago show to be unnecessary, then instead of subsidizing the increase in vehicle miles traveled in direct contradiction of the city's own goals, I implore you to provide city employees with access to the 2 downtown bike houses and passes for the AAA buses. On C6, I would just like to say
30 seconds.
That the 7 comments before mine were an absolutely fantastic example of exactly why we need this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next up is Kathy Johnson.
Hi. My name is Kathy Johnson, and I've been a property manager in the city of Ann Arbor for over 35 years. I've managed everything from student housing to apartment communities, and I currently oversee single-family homes for the Charles Reinhardt Company. I'm speaking today on behalf of the property owners who are leasing or considering leasing their homes. I believe the city holds a very narrow view of what constitutes a landlord. Recent ordinance, including the one currently under consideration, seem to have been designed for large-scale property management firms or investors who own multiple rentals as a primary income source. But the reality is that many of the owners I represent are individuals renting out their primary homes due to life circumstances, a job relocation, temporary moves, whether it's for education or medical reasons, caring for family, moving into assisted living. These are not investors. Most intend to return to their homes. Selling isn't an option for many, and doing so would price them out of the Ann Arbor market in the future. Renting becomes the best and sometimes the only way to retain their homes. These small-scale owners face significant costs. Realtor commissions, city inspections and permits, code repairs, specialized insurance premiums, mortgage payments, HOA fees, maintenance costs, and they're going to be paying 30% more in the property tax simply because they rent out their home. These owners are not profiting. Most are simply trying to get it to break even. If the proposed ordinance passes, it will add increased costs, increase rents, and reduce the number of available rentals in the city. Ann Arbor is sent to receive more than $30 million in grants for sustainability initiatives. If these ordinances are meant to push rental properties toward green upgrades, then the city also must provide financial assistance for compliance, especially for those who did not purchase a property with profit in mind. If political changes result in the loss of that grant funding, will the city move forward with their initiatives, or will they be deemed too expensive? That same question should apply to the property owners who are burdening with these mandates. We're still recovering from pandemic-era price hikes on materials and appliances. Is this really the moment to impose costly and complex mandates that disproportionately affect small landlords? This is a critical moment to recognize that a landlord is often not a wealthy investor, but a neighbor, a retiree, a person just trying to hold on to their home. The ordinance as proposed lacks the nuance and threatens to make housing in Ann Arbor even more difficult to access for both owners and renters. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Mark Scurbo.
Thank you.
Hello, Council. Mark Scurbo, 2017 Fair Street. I've lived in Ann Arbor since 2018, and in that time, I've lived in 6 different homes. At least one of those was a green home because there was a plant growing through the walls of my kitchen. I lived in places with mold on the windows with a landlord who told me the mold that you can see is actually the mold that's not bad for you. It's fine. So obviously I'm speaking in support of the green housing ordinance. I read the ordinance text in, I don't know, sometime in the morning while drinking my coffee. It's really not that complicated. You get points. There's points for a ton of stuff that's not expensive. Things like emailing your tenants about energy efficiency, providing a compost bin, which I think the city provides for free, updating the lease language to say that it's a green lease, getting renters to watch a sustainability video, mowing the grass less frequently, making sure that the windows can be opened, allowing tenants to seal their windows in the winter with a film, and making sure that the attic is insulated. All of these are some of the examples in the ordinance that lets you get to that green housing total number of points. I don't think it's that complicated. I guess I'm not a landlord, so maybe it's more complicated than that, but from my reading, it seems pretty simple. And in terms of the worry about driving up housing cost, we know that what drives housing cost in Ann Arbor is not a green ordinance, but supply and demand. There's a ton of demand for housing. There's not much supply. We've banned the creation of new supply of housing across most of the city. So if landlords really cared about their costs, the main one being property taxes, they would encourage new development of more housing that would bring down the property taxes for more people. And they wouldn't be so concerned about these very easy to achieve basic habitability measures. Along the same lines, I want to speak in support for the rezoning of public land for the library. I'm really, really excited about this project. It's incredible that we can have a shiny new library that has lots of books, but also lots of public programming space, common areas for people to hang out, to listen to music, to learn new things, as well as more housing for librarians who want to live near work, or nurses, or artists, or people who just need housing in the city. It would be silly not to have a downtown zoned area right next to our transit center. So it makes a lot of sense to me to zone something from public land to D1. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Ken Garber.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Radina. I'm Ken Garber. I'm a renter in the 2nd Ward. I'm also a former volunteer staffer for the Ann Arbor Tenants Union, and I'm a climate activist. I really agree with Mr. Scurbo. He put it quite well. Like him, I support this green rental housing ordinance. I mean, it's always amusing to hear landlords speak on behalf of us tenants. And it's the idea that this ordinance will somehow cause them to raise rents or even sell their units is ludicrous. Please pay no attention to this fear-mongering. The ordinance is incredibly lenient, as Mr. Scurbo detailed. Most landlords are going to choose the checklist option, even though the HERS score option of 110 or below is pretty minimal building efficiency. For the checklist, it's ridiculously easy to score 70 points or the long-term 110 points out of the 300. On paper, like Mr. Scurbo, I was easily able to put together a series of free or cheap measures for the 110 points. Lots of points just for tenant education items, etc. there's absolutely no need to modify the building at all. So all this about having to put in heat pumps or fully electrify their units, unfortunately, no one is going to have to do. And I think few actually will use that option for points because there's so many more affordable ways to do it. So, I mean, points for sponsoring a cooking class, I think that's fine, but this is the sort of thing that they're being asked to do. So, my problem with the ordinance is it's too lenient. As it stands, it will be ineffective in terms of advancing the city's climate goals. I guess the biggest value here is that you're putting a checklist in the hands of landlords because it may get some of them to actually think about green practices, which I think they seldom do. But if this ordinance is framed as a climate solution, then it does more harm than good because that gives the impression that it solves the problem. It doesn't even start to do that. So go ahead and approve it, but realize that getting rid of gas in buildings, to do that, this ain't it. That will take something else, hopefully something short of complete climate apocalypse. Landlords accepting a shared responsibility for climate change, as we all must do in the face of this crisis, would be a good start. So finally, I appreciate staff's long years of work on this, especially Joe Lang. But again, I support it hesitantly because it doesn't go far enough.
Thank you. Next up is Peter Hoke.
Hi, council members and Administrator Dohoney. I'm Peter Houck. I'm on the Transportation Commission, but tonight I'm sharing my own thoughts on flashing yellow arrows. Some intersections in the city have flashing yellow arrow signals that direct turning traffic through crosswalks that pedestrians are using. Over the past year, staff has done an excellent job of converting many of these signals so that the yellow arrow is canceled when pedestrians are present. The recommendation to do this came after a Transportation Commission review of crashes and near misses in the city. 17 out of the 26 intersections like this have been converted over the last year. The remaining intersections have special circumstances that require new hardware, software, or construction. While we are waiting for these changes, we should deactivate the flashing yellow arrows at these intersections until the fixes are ready. At the last Transportation Commission meeting, we discussed doing exactly that. Some of the remaining intersections also can't change without coordination from U of M or MDOT. And this dialogue needs to be started right now. One of the intersections that remains to be fixed is Huron and Division. Last Wednesday, a pedestrian was seriously injured there by a left-turning car. So we improved 17 of these intersections, but while we were waiting for this intersection to be fixed, someone else got hurt. Administrator Dohoney, we need your leadership on this problem. Council has already affirmed the Vision Zero goal of 0 serious injuries and fatalities on our streets. They reaffirmed it as recently as their April 7th meeting. So Mr. Dohoney, please follow through by implementing. Support your staff in making this change. Remove the roadblocks. Get this problem solved. Deactivate these remaining flashing yellow arrows right now to protect public safety. We are waiting for action, and we need it before another person gets hurt. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Eileen Spring.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for your service. I'm Eileen Spring, and I'm here on behalf of the more than 140 community programs who rely on food gatherers' daily distribution of food in the form of free groceries and meals at shelters, affordable housing sites, food pantries, health clinics throughout Washtenaw County. In fiscal year '24, our network provided 9.9 million pounds of food
to 60,000 different people. Counting every person in each household each time they got services, we had 1 million total visits in fiscal year '24. 20% of those people we serve live in Ann Arbor. The USDA has been a reliable source of food and food purchasing grants for food banks like food gatherers. However, in March of this year, we were informed that half of this food source had been abruptly canceled. This type of USDA food was 15% of our total food distribution, the equivalent of more than 1.2 million meals. This is highly desirable food: milk, cheese, eggs, pork, fruits, and vegetables. Our community also benefited from a local food purchasing grant, which enabled us to source food from local farmers right in a 200-mile radius. This grant ends in September of this year and will not be renewed. Annual funding we have also grown to rely on from the FEMA Emergency Food and Shelter Program, which supports shelters and emergency food, is quote-unquote paused. Food Gatherers has been dipping into reserves to purchase more food in order to maintain the level of service to our community who has relied on us. We are actively advocating for the restoration of federal resources as well as seeking support from local government entities and private philanthropy. We and other food banks throughout the nation will not be able to food drive our way out of this crisis. We are hoping that the City of Ann Arbor will consider allocating more resources to our local food safety net. We estimate it will cost us an additional $2.5 million to replace the loss of federal food. I've shared this information in an email with you sent about a week ago. And so as we advocate to restore or replace this source of food, we also must do some grim scenario planning. And I've sent you all a link to a survey asking for your input on how we decide which programs we scale back on, which sectors do we prioritize: the unhoused, food insecure, children, veterans. I ask that you offer your insights, but moreover, I ask that you help us avoid having to make these choices in the future. So thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you. Next up, we have Theo Poland.
Mr. Poling will be joining us on Zoom. Caller with the phone number ending in 037, press *6 to unmute your phone. Go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, I hope you're all doing well. My name is Theo Poland. I use they and he pronouns. My parents met as students at the University of Michigan, and so I've grown up here all my life. But I don't really have a lot of the same opportunities they did when they were my age. When my mom was 27, she was married to an attorney. She paid off her mortgage. She earned an MBA. She had one child and another one on the way. And she worked a job that made $85,000 in today's dollars. I'm 27. I have never owned a home. I'm newly single. I have a master's of education, a lot of student loan debt, and I work a job that makes $49,000. After taxes and health insurance and transportation, because I can't afford to live within the city, but I work at the University of Michigan, it's really not a lot to live on. So I found out about a program called the Ann Arbor Community Land Trust and hoped for the first time that maybe I'd be able to live within the city and own my own home. And I got one of their lottery spots recently at 1535 Maple Road for $225,000. In other rentals that I've lived in, I've been harassed by neighbors for my gender identity. I've dealt with unsafe conditions from apathetic landlords, and I currently struggle a lot living at home with my parents. Their cognitive abilities are in decline, and their fear and anger keep growing every day, and I become the unfortunate target. So I'm really not using any hyperbole, guys, when I say that this home from the Community Land Trust would save my life, and I really have an urgent need to move as soon as I can for my safety and my health. So I'd really like to ask specifically to the council people if you have any power to help the City Council and the Planning Commission expedite some of the approvals that the Community Land Trust is waiting on to get these homes built. So if I understand correctly, they need approval to put 2 homes on each site and also to get housing TIF so that the program's affordable. So I'm asking you specifically, can you please help us with these approvals so that I can live in a safe home? I believe you have my phone number and my contact information from speaking here. I'm really happy to share more of my story and assist however I can. That's the end of my time. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you. Next up, we have Sarah Lorenz.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Lorenz. I live in the 4th Ward. Thank you for serving on City Council. I appreciate your public service. I spoke to you here in October of 2023 and July of 2024 about our developing plans to establish the Ann Arbor Community Land Trust, and I'm very pleased to report that many steps have been made. We've overcome many challenges, and we are almost there, very close to breaking ground. In fact, I thought about bringing a shovel with me to demonstrate how close we were, and then I thought again about bringing a large metal implement to a public meeting. So I have a metaphorical shovel in my hands here to tell you that we are almost ready to break ground. We, in fact, are so confident that we have lined up buyers, and they are so excited. It has been such a joy and actually very heartbreaking to hear all the stories of the buyers who are contacting us. We have listings on Zillow, and that is directing people to come to our website. They are filling out our buyer survey, and I read those comments. I read about the kind of housing they're looking for, about their family size, what they need, where they work, and where they need to live. And they are so hopeful that many of them are saying, I never thought that I would ever be able to live near my work or my family in Ann Arbor. So I sense their joy and their hope, but it's also heartbreaking to hear some of these stories about how far people drive, how they're separated from their families, how they, they feel like they're not a part of the community that they serve. And so I'm really hoping that we can get this work underway. And I've really been inspired by a couple of other communities that are doing amazing things. In fact, I heard about a year ago about Jackson, and they have worked with Norfolk Homes, which is a home builder that is based here in Ann Arbor. They are building 100 homes in Jackson, and they are selling those at $175,000 per home, which is really impressive. Norfolk has been partnering with them, and as a result of learning about this, we have selected Norfolk Homes as our general contractor for this project. And now I learned that Pontiac wants Norfolk to come and build 500 homes there, and so I have a little case of municipal envy, and I really want us to get moving because we need 500 homes at least. And then I learned about Kalamazoo this week has gotten a prize, the Ivory Prize, for their use of housing TIF. They have built over 200 homes that they have been selling for around $200,000. And I know that we can do the same thing here. Our group has been working for almost 5 years now, and we are ready to build the homes that we need. Thank you.
Next up is Alan Haber.
Hello, Council, again. I do want to just repeat, as I had said before, it would be very beneficial for many residents to have the amplitude on the sound system a little louder so people could hear better. I'm here, of course, again on the question of the commons. I went to the Planning Commission for the first time, and I was surprised that there was no memory in the Planning Commission at all of the city charter or of the direction that the center of the city should be seen as a central element in the city master plan. There was some comment on open space, but the sense that the city had looked at the center of the city as a focal point did not seem to get to the Planning Commission. And I would say it has not been much in your attention as well. I'm very sad, as you know, that you are moving toward eliminating the whole sense of the community commons and replacing it with a large building when so clear in the whole process from when this began in 2009 that people wanted a center of the city that has some open space, some green. There's a park that has a fountain where children are welcome, and that serve somehow the many houses that is being developed. And now where the old credit union was, there's new housing. On top of the library in its current place, there's intended to be new housing. And where the old Y was, new housing. Where is the park? Where is the place for these people? You've never heard an actual presentation of what has been done in the development of the commons. I sent you a letter, so I outlined some of that for you. But it is really proper that you follow the instruction that you had more than a year ago, when the Council of the Commons dissolved itself, saying that there should be outside consultation in directing what are the next steps. You simply ignored that and ignored the direction of the voters that this current step is that the center of the city should be developed as a central park and as a civic center and as a place of many gatherings. I wish people had come to the various events. So you've kept yourself too ignorant.
Thank you.
I wish that you would see your responsibility to the city charter and to your own oath
Thank
of
you.
office.
Having reached the conclusion of our 45-minute public comment period, we will reopen public comment at the end of the meeting for our remaining speakers. Are there communications from council this evening? Councilmember Malik.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight I have two special guests with me. They are visiting Ann Arbor this week from Wisconsin. Peter and Betty Malik, better known as my parents. They are both elected officials in their own right. My dad is president of the Village of Junction City, Wisconsin, and my mom is the clerk of Junction City, Wisconsin. Peter has held office since 2009, while my mom, to our knowledge, is the longest active serving clerk in the entire state of Wisconsin at 44 years and counting. Growing up, I saw them juggle their part-time elected offices, their full-time day jobs, also in public service, operate a 100-cow dairy farm, and raise me and my four siblings. Despite that heavy workload and personal sacrifice, they've taken great pride over the years in their hard work and accomplishments towards the greater public good. You can probably understand my feeling growing up then that I never wanted to be an elected official myself. That level of hard work, I didn't think it was for me. However, fast forward to today, and here I am. Proof that no matter what you do, you basically become your parents anyways. Lucky me, I am all the better for having them as role models in my life. So far during their visit, my dad has read the majority of the 400-plus page proposed fiscal year 2026 Ann Arbor budget sitting on my coffee table. Because Junction City, Wisconsin is also looking to update their land use plan in the coming months, they plan to accompany me to the Comprehensive Land Use Open House at Traverwood Library this Wednesday between 3 and 7 p.m., where everyone is welcome. We also snagged a tour date at the water treatment plant on Saturday to celebrate Drinking Water Week, after we go to the farmers market, of course. And lastly, they plan to attend my and Councilmember Watson's listening session this Saturday, May 10th, from 3 to 4 p.m. at Traverwood Library, where everyone is also invited. All in all, we have a fun week ahead of us, and I'm excited to show them some of the best Ann Arbor has to offer. Thanks.
Thank you, and welcome to the Maliks.
Obviously, it doesn't take much to entertain us.
Councilmember Dish.
Welcome to your municipal holiday. So Ward 1 in Ann Arbor have lost a leader in Shirley Beckley, and though Mr. Davis has left, I just wanted, and most of the Community Leadership Council is not here anymore, I just wanted to thank them for speaking tonight, and I know that you have lost a leader and a friend, so thank you. I do not need to announce that Wednesday, May 7th, 3 to 7 p.m. at the Traverwood Library, there will be an engagement session on the comprehensive land use plan, but because you can never repeat anything enough, I just have. In addition, Cynthia Harrison and I will have a coffee hour at the downtown library on Monday, May 12th. From 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m., we will be focused on the comprehensive land use plan. There will not be staff there because we are giving them a tiny break. A couple of bits of news that I found in the city administrator's newsletter that are worth celebrating. Over 70% of the electricity used to power the city of Ann Arbor facilities and operations is now generated by renewable energy sources. A total of 74 city sites are now enrolled in Michigan's electric customer choice program, which means that they receive energy from Constellation Energy, the nation's largest producer of carbon-free energy. And in addition to this, solar at Ann Arbor City facilities generated almost 600 megawatt hours of additional electricity in 2024, and that's a lot. In addition, the city of Ann Arbor has been awarded the prestigious Best in the Midwest honor by the Climate Action Museum. Can you believe there is a Climate Action Museum? A museum for things that are alive and kicking. And this award, of course, recognizes the A20 carbon neutrality plan and its work to set up the sustainable energy utility, as well as its transformation underway of the Bryan Community Center into has happened, into a net zero energy facility and climate action learning lab. So thank you for all of that good work, OSI, and thank you, residents, for supporting it with the millage.
Councilmember Cornell.
Thank you. I would like to add perhaps to Councilmember Malik's agenda this weekend, treating his parents to Bloomfest downtown in Ann Arbor. It is not a surprise, the Main Street Area Association initiative to bring people downtown to support our small businesses. It is May 9th through 11th, so this weekend, perfectly timed to Mother's Day. And it's a weekend of shopping, strolling, springtime fun. A lot of the businesses downtown have gone really above and beyond to make their storefronts festive and inviting and reflective of spring, bright colors. I know at the Ann Arbor Art Center, I walked downstairs the other day to watch my team watching YouTube videos on how to make gigantic paper flowers, which adorn our walls. So the businesses downtown take great pride in creating experiences for our community, and this event will certainly, I think, live up to that reputation. So this weekend, Bloomfest downtown, and there's also a scavenger hunt with prizes if you happen to visit various locations. And I hope everyone will take the time to support our small business community as always. Thank you.
Any other comments? All right. On behalf of the mayor, I would like to recommend the following reappointments for consideration at our next meeting. And please bear with me, it is lengthy. To the Airport Advisory Committee, B. Melanie McNicholas and Frederick M. Hall. To the Ann Arbor Area Transportation Authority Board, Mike Alamang. To the Ann Arbor Public Art Commission, Peggy Weir-Leonard. To the Building Board of Appeals, Robert Hart, Hugh Flack Jr., and David Arnsdorf. To the Cable Communications Commission, Zachary Damon. To the City Planning Commission, Wanwoo Lee, Sarah Hammerschmidt, and Ellie Abrams. To the Commission on Disability Issues, Kathleen M. Mozak, Larry D. Keeler, and Alex Gossage. To the Design Review Board, Wendy L. Rampson. To the Downtown Development Authority, Tressa Nichols, Angela L. Jackson, and Elizabeth Berry. To the Elizabeth Dean Fund Committee, Lynn M. Nibel, Brooks A. Curtis, and Samuel Rosewig. To the Employees Retirement System Board of Trustees, Mark N. Foster. To the Energy Commission, Mike Berkowitz. To the Historic District Commission, David Rocklin and Catherine Fortner. To the Housing Board of Appeals, Jerry P. Schulte and Tim Durham. To the Human Rights Commission, Linda Winkler, Hannah G. Lane, and Keita Cowan. To the Huron River Watershed Council, Richard Norton. To the Parks Advisory Commission, Tisha Montague. To the Recreation Advisory Commission, Hannah Carey. To the Renters Commission, Chris E. Body, Rosanita Ratcliffe, and Kimberly Pitts. To the Transportation Commission, Wanwoo Lee and Brett Hautamaki. To the Zoning Board of Appeals, Patricia Liskowski and Todd W. Grant. I would also like to recommend the following nominations for your consideration. To the Ann Arbor Public Arts Commission, John Kotarski. To the Downtown Development Area Resident Consultancy Council, Julian Mays Burnett. And to the Housing Commission, Devin Kilpatrick. I would also like to recommend the following reappointments of non-registered electors for your consideration at the next meeting. To the Design Review Board, Jeffrey M. Perkins. To the Energy Commission, Carlene Colvin Garcia. And to the Huron River Watershed Council, Molly Massajuski. And finally, I would like to recommend the following nomination of a non-registered elector for your consideration at the next meeting. To the Ann Arbor Public Art Commission, Sarah Fuller. We now have before us the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Moved by Councilmember Iyer, seconded by Councilmember Cornell. Discussion of the consent agenda, and I would entertain a motion to postpone CA 9, CA 11, and CA 12 to our May 12th or May 19th meeting. My apologies. We'll need to pull those and then vote to postpone them. Councilmember Briggs.
Okay, so I would move to pull CA 9, CA 11, and CA 12.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion of the consent agenda? All those in favor of the consent agenda with the exception of CA 9, CA 11, and CA 12, please say aye. All opposed? It is passed. CA 9, a resolution to approve the marijuana excise tax rebate fund grant agreement between the City of Ann Arbor and the Home of New Vision and appropriate funding. Moved by Councilmember Briggs, seconded by Councilmember Cornell. Councilmember Briggs.
I'd like to state how supportive I am to this. I mean, it's unfortunate that it's necessary for us to provide additional funding after seeing the loss of federal funding in this area, but glad that we are dedicating that, but I'll move to postpone this to our next meeting.
Is there a second? Councilmember Watson, any discussion of the postponement? All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? It is postponed. CA 11, a resolution to accept a sanitary sewer easement at 1400 South Maple Road from Midtown Ann Arbor LLC. Moved by Councilmember Briggs, seconded by Councilmember Dish. Councilmember Briggs.
Move to postpone this to our next meeting.
Is there a second? Councilmember Malik. Any discussion of postponement? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? It is postponed. CA 12, a resolution to accept a water main easement at 1400 South Maple Road from Midtown Ann Arbor LLC. Moved by Councilmember Briggs, seconded by Councilmember Watson. Councilmember Briggs.
I move to postpone this to our next meeting.
Is there a second? Councilmember Malik. Any discussion? All those in favor of postponement? Aye. Any opposed? It is postponed. Thank you. We now come to a series of public hearings. Public hearings are opportunities for members of the public to speak to the City Council and the community about the specific subject matter of the public hearing. To speak at a public hearing, you need not have signed up in advance, but your comments must relate to the topic of the hearing on the agenda. Speakers have 3 minutes to speak, so please pay close attention to the time clock. Our clerk will alert speakers when 30 seconds are remaining and when your time has expired. When your time has expired, please conclude your remarks and cede the floor. Our first public hearing today is public hearing number 1, an ordinance to amend Chapter 93, Alarm Systems of Title 7 of the Code of the City of Ann Arbor. Is there anyone in-house who would like to speak at this public hearing? Is Is there anyone online who would like to speak at this public hearing?
Mayor Pro Tem, I don't see anyone online for this hearing.
Seeing no one, this public hearing is closed. Public hearing number 2, an ordinance to amend Section 263 of Chapter 29, Water Rates of Title II of the Code of the City of Ann Arbor. Is anyone in house that would like to speak at the public hearing?
Mark Scurbo, 2017 Fair Street. I know people don't like their utility bills going up, but I think this is a necessary thing. Ann Arbor's got pretty good infrastructure and takes care of its infrastructure, unlike a lot of other cities. And one other way to reduce our tax burden and get better utilities for a lower cost is by having higher density. I'll keep on that for a while. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in house who would like to speak at this public hearing? Is there anyone online who would like to speak at this public hearing?
Mayor Pro Tem, I don't see anyone online for this hearing.
Seeing no one, this public hearing is closed. Public hearing number 3, an ordinance to amend Section 269 of Chapter 29, Stormwater Rates of Title II of the Code of the City of Ann Arbor. Is there anyone in house who would like to speak at this public hearing? Is there anyone online who would like to speak at this public hearing?
We do have one caller. Alex Lowe, press star 6, go ahead.
Hi, this is Alex Lowe calling in from Ward 3. What would really help with us not having to further increase our stormwater rates would be if we allowed more density, especially vertical density, since that would have more people sharing these stormwater rates in the same amount of impermeable land. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, I don't have any other callers online.
Seeing no one, the public hearing is closed. Public hearing number 4, an ordinance to amend Section 264 of Chapter 29, Sewer Rates of Title II of the Code of the City of Ann Arbor. Is there anyone in house who would like to speak at this public hearing? Is there anyone online who would like to speak at this public hearing?
I don't see any callers online for this hearing.
Thank you. Seeing no one, this public hearing is closed. Public hearing number 5, a resolution to approve fiscal year 2026 fee adjustments for the Ann Arbor Fire Department. Is there anyone in house who would like to speak at this public hearing? Is there anyone online who would like to speak at this public hearing?
I don't see anyone online for this hearing.
Seeing no one, this public hearing is closed. Public hearing number 6, a resolution to approve fiscal year 2026 fee adjustments for the Ann Arbor Police Department. Is there anyone in house who would like to speak at this public hearing? Is there anyone online who would like to speak at this public hearing?
I don't have any callers online for this hearing.
Seeing no one, the public hearing is closed. Public hearing number 7, a resolution to approve the fiscal year 2026 fee adjustments for the public services area, engineering, systems planning, public works, water treatment units, and the fleet and facilities, airport unit of the city administrator's office. Is there anyone in house who would like to speak at this public hearing? Is there anyone online who would like to speak at this public hearing?
Mayor Pro Tem, I don't see any callers online for this hearing.
Seeing no one, this public hearing is closed. Public hearing number 8, a resolution to approve the fiscal year 2026 fee adjustments for the community services area. Is there anyone in house who would like to speak at this public hearing? Is there anyone online who would like to speak at this public hearing?
I don't see any callers online for this hearing.
Seeing no one, this public hearing is closed. Public hearing number 9, a resolution to adopt the Ann Arbor City budget and related property tax millage rates for fiscal year 2026. Is there anyone in-house who would like to speak at this public hearing?
Hello, Adam Goodman. I'm a resident of Ward 5, and I am here tonight to present the names of around 300 people who have signed a petition calling for safety for Stadium Now. Specifically, this petition calls for you to include in this budget funds to urgently reconfigure, colloquially say road diet, all the remaining multi-lane sections of Stadium and Maple as a 2-year quick build pilot project. I have a printed copy here. Should I hand it to the clerk?
Yes.
So, I spoke to you a month ago about Ann Arbor's failure to achieve its 10-year Vision Zero goal, and the need to urgently address this, and much more aggressively than we have been. So I want to address what is currently in the proposed budget that's before you. So first of all, I really do appreciate that Mr. Mahoney did frame road safety as a public safety issue. That is correct. And there are some capital projects that will make a positive difference for our community. I would mention as examples the Miller Bikeway and the Nixon Corridor Improvements Project. But what this budget fails to do with any urgency is to address the most significant sources of serious and fatal crashes in our city, that is, our multi-lane roads. Our unwillingness to aggressively take on these sorts of problems is exactly why we've failed to meet our goal over the last 10 years. This budget actually does, show a line item for the sort of thing that we are asking for, quick build safety projects. What's the funding proposed for that line item? $0. Now, to be fair, this is probably in part because the city was relying on a Safe Streets for All grant from the feds to fund this sort of work, but there are a couple problems with that. First, the restrictions in that grant and other federal regulations meant that the city would have been unable to use that funding to do anything other than the most minor and incremental work. Staff were clear that that money could not be used for any significant road reconfiguration because that would trigger a federally mandated environmental assessment. But second, and more urgently, as the mayor announced a month ago, those funds have now effectively been frozen by the Trump administration. So, council members, you did set aside funding for exactly this type of situation, and now it's urgent that you do appropriate some local funds for some quick build safety projects. And like reconfiguring Stadium. One tiny silver lining to a very large cloud is that local funds don't come with all these strings attached. We can do the work that's actually necessary to make our roads safe when we're spending local money. So I hope you will bring forward amendments and support them at the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. My name is Jessie Averill, and I'm with the Washington Housing Alliance. The WHA would like to thank City Council for funding the Rising Hope program these past 2 years.
I think you might have bumped the microphone
Did
off.
I turn it off?
Is the green light on? Oh.
No, it's not. I was trying to be mindful and speak close.
There should be a button at the base. That's the timer up there. Yep.
Sorry. I was just trying to do this. I'm so sorry. Should I still go?
No. We'll give you your time back.
entire section.
The light is on.
That works.
I mean, it's not.
Ours are still lighted.
They light up at least.
Yeah.
It just won't be recorded. All right. I don't know if folks can hear me, but we're going to take a brief 5-minute break to allow the system to reboot.
For those of you on Zoom, council is taking a 5-minute break.